have to put this. I'll just put this down for reference. Here and here. So I think I said this side was 5th Avenue and this side over here was Broadway. There we go. All right, so Broadway side, 5th Avenue side, going back in space here. Now, what's interesting about three-point perspective is that when you're drawing, because we live on a sphere, it is a wonderful tool for making things look concave or convex. And because it has a sense of curvature to it as we're working across a spherical field of a ball or a form, in this case the Earth. So as we're drawing buildings today in these lessons, what's interesting is that as we fly over and then somewhat behind us, the buildings will feel as if they're turning like they're on the surface of a sphere. So they'll turn away from us and keep on turning and curving. So it will be a strange, kind of interesting fish-eyed look that could happen a little bit, unless we control our cone of vision. But for right now, we'll get there when we get there. I just want to make you aware of that. I think that's a really interesting peculiarity that happens with three-point perspective. All right, so one word of caution today as we're drawing. We don't want to make any of our buildings higher than the horizon line. Why is that? Well, if we're flying in an airplane, or let's say a helicopter, and we're flying over a city, and if this is our eye level, and we make a building higher than our eye level, we got to be careful because we're apt to run into that building. We can actually hit it. So we want to be well established above the horizon line. So all our buildings will stay below here, sky plane. So we've got all this material here to make our cityscape, and we'll just make as many buildings as I want, but as you can handle, or I think you can handle. Now the three-point procedure that I've showed you before is, when you're drawing, we've been sketching out, and you have a plane going this way, you have a plane going that way, and you've had a vertical coming down, and you've had another vertical coming down, another vertical. So that's one way, the skyscraper to look at. But when you look at it from above looking down, you'll have what will start out as a two-point box, right? So you've got that. So you've got vanishing points this way, in this way. Okay? But when we come down, this is where it gets different, is we have a vertical vanishing point way down in the ground. So as it gets further or closer to the ground, here's the horizon line. Here's the horizon line for this one, perhaps, is that look how far away that gets. So we're way up here in our building, way up here, and we're looking down on that building. So that's kind of a start of one, how you'll see that. Now, another thing that's going to be difficult for you to get in the beginning is as we develop our composition, we're going to be drawing the bottom of the boxes first, or excuse me, the bottom of the buildings first. And so what that means is we have to be careful when we're plotting out our bottom, our foundation. So it's going to look a little like this in the beginning. It's like, well, that's a bunch of rectangles. Well, not necessarily. It's the bottom of our building. So when contractors and engineers and construction workers build buildings, they don't run them in together. This would be chaos to have two, or if they overlap, could you imagine if they overlapped? We don't want that. We want enough space so people can walk through our buildings. That's going to be important. So we have to leave some space. Now, procedurally, what will happen is we'll have a bottom of a box, a building, bottom of our building, and then we'll be building from the vertical vanishing point up and up and up to build our three-point building. So we'll be starting from its very base bottom first and then building upwards second. That's going to be important to know. So bottom first and then upward second. Shouldn't be too bad. Okay. Important things to know there. All right, so go ahead and start. I'll make the bottom of all our buildings in green so you can see them, so you can see where they're at as we go further. So try to make your drawing as accurate to mine as you possibly can. I know it's going to be difficult. We're going to have a lot of buildings, but do the best you can with that. So the first thing I'm going to do is we're going to start out with some buildings. And we have to be careful compositionally. We don't make them too big. They'll block out other buildings. We're going to put a lot of buildings looking down in a very congested cityscape from above, looking downwards. So we'll start out with some buildings closer to the street. And we'll start to maybe put one right on the curb. Maybe we'll start right here with our first building. And I'll lay it flat. I'll put it right on the street line here. And I'll make it about that length. So we got that to that. And now we need a projection for depth. So we'll go back to the left vanishing point. Here I need a little longer ruler. I think that'll do it. So all the way back to the left vanishing point here. And here as well. All the way back there. There we go. Okay. So you're going to have a lot of convergence lines. Just be mindful. You have to draw very light, very technical, and very tight. So how deep do we want to make the first building? Well, let's make it about this deep in space. So I'll put a little green line there. And so it'll be this deep. Here to here. And now from this point, that was arbitrary by the way, from this point let's go back to the right vanishing point. So all the way back to the RVP from here. Line up my ruler. There we go. Right in through there. That's it. So we'll come across to our right vanishing point. There we go. We've got it. And now we've got the projection for the rest of our box, which will be right, our building, which will be right there. I should have to pay all my students $1 for every time I say box when I mean building. Okay. All right. So there's the actual bottom of our first building. I'm going to go ahead and build this up a little bit so you can see the process. You'll get comfortable with it. And then we're going to do a lot of plotting of buildings for a while to get compositionally comfortable with it. All right, so now from the vertical vanishing point, we need to draw up from here, this point here, up and give elevation, a rise to our structure. Now we're going to go up from the ground. So from the vertical vanishing point, from the VVP, it's got to go through here. I'm going to go through this corner here, up some, go through the front corner here, up some, and then from the left corner here, up a little bit, right through here. Okay, now, I don't want to make this building too tall, so I'm going to keep it fairly short. Notice it's got a little tilt to it. That's because it's slightly pulled to the left from the true vertical vanishing point. That's going to give us this concave feeling, concave or convex feeling of the illusion that these forms are built on a circular surface as well. Okay, so I'm going to go up about this high with my building, right through here. Draw over it darker in red, so we've got that. So there's the height. Now I have to go from the left vanishing point to the right vanishing point, which will look something like, where's my other pencil? There it is. Something like this here and here as I go back in space. So we're looking for that angle as we go through. So from that point back through the left vanishing point here, and back to the right vanishing point here. There we go, all the way through. Now I have the depth projection for my building here, and here, here, and there. And now all we need is the top of